morning, we want to talk about the business model generation canvas, and we want to talk about with that cover material in addition to the canvas that is going to help us understand some things about business mastery. And so here's a couple of statistics here about where our economy is going and what's actually happening right now as we talk about this subject of business mastery, that over 600 new businesses are started each year in the United States of America. And I want you to hear that number. Over 600,000 new businesses are started every year. Since the mid-1990s, new emerging businesses are accountable for 60 to 80% of the net new jobs. So I don't know, what world you may come from, but that's a huge statistic. That's 60 to 80%. And very frankly, that's why you hear some of the conversation that's on television about, we need to make sure we have a tax code that helps our small businesses, because 60 to 80% of net new jobs come from small business. Then small businesses, those with fewer than 50 employees, account for most of the job growth since 2008. So small business or having business is important. Now, so many people that have come to the business class over the last 5 years, and those that may be even watching this video, many of them are in businesses, have started businesses, or currently have businesses that have 50 or less employees. And frankly, anything we talk about this week and in this series on business mastery and the business model canvas, anything that we talk about, let me say it this way, almost everything we talk about will apply directly to any nonprofit, and it will apply directly to churches as well. But we're talking specifically about business and small businesses. Now, we will take some time at some point when we start breaking down the business model canvas, we will take some time to talk about how you can use that tool in large corporations. So, as we look at this, many of you that are watching this, and those of you here in the class, that you've already done something more in the entrepreneurial area. Some of you may be brand new to it, but an entrepreneur, so here's the definition that I haven't given you yet. An entrepreneur is a person who perceives an opportunity and creates an organization to pursue it. So an entrepreneur is a person who perceives an opportunity and creates an organization to pursue it. Now, you could say it this way, okay? An entrepreneur is a person who perceives an opportunity and creates a business to pursue it. You could read it this way. An entrepreneur is a person who perceives an opportunity and creates or starts a church and to pursue it. Or you could read it this way. An entrepreneur is a person who perceives an opportunity and creates a nonprofit to pursue it. But an entrepreneur is somebody who is going to pursue what they perceive as an opportunity, and the secret sauce here is the organization that you put around that purpose and that dream in order to make it happen. That's the kind of things we're going to talk about this week. So as we talk about the business model canvas, I want to say a couple of things to you about it, and I call this part here in the beginning. Now, in a minute we're going to read Genesis chapter 1, where it says, in the beginning God created the heavens and the earth. But what I want to do today as we start is read Genesis chapter 11, and I want to read verses 1 through 9. We're going to be talking about the business model canvas, and I'll tell you, give you some information about that. But let's look in Genesis chapter 11 and verse 1, and it says, now the whole earth had one language and one speech. And it came to pass, as they journeyed from the east, that they found a plain in the land of Shinar, and they dwelt there. And they said to one another, come and let us make bricks and bake them thoroughly. And they had brick for stone, and they had asphalt for mortar. And they said, come, let us build ourselves a city and a tower whose top is in the heavens, and let us make a name for ourselves, lest we be scattered abroad over the whole face of the earth. But the Lord came down to see the city and the tower which the sons of men had built. And the Lord said, indeed the people are one, and they all have one language, and this is what they begin to do. Now nothing that they propose to do will be withheld from them. Come, let us go down and there confuse their language, that they may not understand one another's speech. Now we know in that verse where it says, now nothing that they propose to do, and God makes it very plain as we read through here, basically that nothing that they imagine to do in their imagination would be impossible to them. I want you to hear that. And there's a reason for that he said that. So he said, come, let us go down and there confuse their language, that they may not understand one another's speech. So the Lord scattered them abroad from there over the face of all the earth, and they ceased building the city. Now watch this. Therefore its name is called Babel, because there the Lord confused the language of all the earth, and from there the Lord scattered them abroad over the face of the whole earth. Now, so one of the things that I want us to see here as we talk about this is God said, as long as they had one language and one speech, this is what he said, as long as they had one language and one speech, nothing would be impossible to them. Anything they imagined, he said, would come to pass. So he saw this, obviously, God saw this as a thing that was not good in regards to what they were trying to do, because it was all about them, obviously, for the wrong reason. So God said, here, I'm going to go down, and notice what he said. I'm going to confuse their speech, give them all different languages. Now, I know you may be listening and say, well, what does that have to do, with the price of apples in China? What does it have to do with the business model canvas? Here's what happens in business, and I get so, I get passionate or riled up about this, is that people use all kind of words to describe certain things, right? And what happens is we need some tools and some languages that help us to talk about business in a way that makes sense, so we know how to connect the dots. Now, I'm not saying that just for this class. I'm saying it out in the real business world. And I believe that the business model canvas is that, first of all, it is a tool that allows us to do this.